Pre-IPO SpaceX shares is our topic for today. We're taking a break from our Tesla stuff because Elon obviously runs SpaceX and is the primary shareholder. So we've been getting a lot of questions about this, and I wanted to address those head on. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. I wanted to also thank our Patreon supporters as well as our subscribers. If you like our show, please take time to like and subscribe. So I wanted to do a show on pre-IPO SpaceX shares today. As you'll notice, I'm not taking questions and can't say hello until the end of the show, probably after 15 minutes, but we'll be happy to do so afterwards. And please note that you can send me a note on Teslafaninsight at Facebook, your email address and or phone number if you want to have a more deep conversation. So what happened is about a month and a half ago, I was finishing up a show on Tesla, and one of my viewers asked when we'd be able to buy SpaceX shares. And so, as you know, SpaceX has not gone public yet. So what I also pointed out during that show is that I'm a Stanford alum, and I was informed by a number of classmates there's a fairly active pre-IPO market for shares in Silicon Valley. It was suggested that then, so basically that's what's going on, is that there's a lot of stocks you may be doing business with that haven't gone public yet, that folks are able to purchase shares prior to it going public. And this is one of the reasons why so many companies, you can think of the big ones, be it Airbnb or et cetera, all those big companies have been able to get well funded without having to go public. So they've been able to sort of control their growth and manage themselves better as private companies than public ones. So I have some exposure to the deal-making environment in Silicon Valley. I've helped get funding for, at this point, maybe 4 companies. The biggest company you've probably heard of is JetBlue. So I ran into the CEO and CFO in Palo Alto near Stanford, and they were getting no traction on getting funding in New York, so they came to Silicon Valley, and I happened to run into them and help them in the process of getting access to capital for that company. So one of the things about being a Stanford alum is that you have access to all these people that are doing deals, and therefore an opportunity to find or buy shares if you choose to. The key to it, though, is your credibility is driven by the fact that you get stuff done. So the trend for a lot of people is to be very secretive about who they know or what they can do as a way to avoid, putting their reputation out there and having it blown up. And this show is kind of a reflection of that, in that I have gotten some emails from folks interested in that. I have not followed up for a whole bunch of reasons, which is why I wanted to do this show today. So basically what happened is, after I got the request about the shares, I actually talked with a couple of investment banker friends about what process should be on executing. And a whole bunch of answers came up, and one of them was really just get accredited investors. You need to buy between $1 and $5 million in shares, and then you're going to have fees that rack up between attorney's fees about $40K and another $40 or $50K in due diligence fees. You end up spending, you kind of want to have a bigger buy of shares, i.e. $1 to $5 million, because the percentage of the shares you buy associated with the fees to put the group together end up being it balances out better the more shares you end up buying. So after listening to that and noting the number of people I had interest and the amounts of monies that they were thinking about wanting to put in general, what it was articulated to me is that you're looking at this stage at spending about 50 to 100 grand per share. And the larger the amount or group you have in terms of what they want to purchase, the easier it is for you to likely, get shares from the different entities that currently own them. So I had a chance to speak with a few people in general about this, and it seems like it's kind of bifurcated. I have a group of people that are down in the, I want 5 or 10 grand worth of the shares. And then you have some folks that are saying, I'm willing to spend 100 grand, maybe two, in order to purchase and be in on this. And so those are sort of in general what's out there. And I initially was told that you really need to have accredited investors, which means you have to have a certain net worth and sophistication in order to participate. But there are structures you could do that allow smaller investors to participate. And so kind of where I ended up was in a position where it really takes going to New York, meeting with some bankers, going to San Francisco, meetings with some venture capitalists / bankers, and then spending some time at SpaceX to sort of round out the loop of time spent to actually do good due diligence on process. One thought I had was to initially see who's interested in it, use my Stanford connections to get a tour of SpaceX so that part of the due diligence process is you actually go out and get to see what happens and gain more confidence or less confidence in your decision to invest and then go from there. So this idea, I was thinking, is a soft pedal way to get in. So I wanted to mention that one of the things that I'm thinking about and I'm looking forward to your comments on is if I do this process, the idea would be so right now it's January of 2020. So let's say the 1st of February, the 1st of March, and the 1st of April, within a couple of days, we plan on a tour of the facilities of SpaceX. And the goal there is I put in the effort to get the tour done because they don't actually do tours. You actually have to know someone there to get the tour done. So my idea was get the tour done, mark up, the cost of the tour in terms of putting it together. It therefore gives all the people on the low end that are like, I don't want to spend 5 or 10 grand, and the people on the high end I'm willing to do 100, 200 grand, et cetera, an opportunity to kind of, get more familiar with people there, products and services, the future to some extent that you can see rather than sort of moving blindly. So that's one idea I had. And the reason I was moving down that chain is, number one, it partially pays for my time to do it. 2, you get a deliverable that you can enjoy, get a good understanding of, and then you're now in the due diligence position where you can make a better call. You can make a better call on if you actually want to mess with this or not. And really what my real goal on this whole thing is the fact that anybody that invests based on my assistance, I want them to make money, or at minimum having a very clear sense of what they're doing. So so in general, that's what's going on is, I have to admit, the other thing that's been going on is that as I see bad news on SpaceX, I'll think to myself, wow, I probably saved some people some losses here by them not doing this. And then when I see good news on SpaceX, I'm like, wow, all the people that suggested they wanted to buy shares would not benefit. So, Robert, you're right. I specifically explained at the front of the show that this is not a Tesla show today. I just wanted to note that. So if you want a Tesla show, we are not doing one, and I apologize. So please note this is not a Tesla show today. So I wanted to highlight to you, and please, if you are interested, only send me an email, because then I can directly respond based on the parameters that I'm describing. But my process on this whole thing is that anytime people are involved with me, I want them to do well if I can. And part of do well is something called due diligence. So I really think that I'm almost forbidding, not totally, almost forbidding people from even thinking about this if you don't come and visit SpaceX with us. And then you can meet people, see what they do, and just get your gut on it. That way, if you do something, you'll be like, oh, Greg organized a tour. We did our tour. I either feel bad or feel good. I don't care how you feel afterwards. I just want you to be well informed. And that way, as you move through the process, you could be comfortable in what you're doing. So reminder, if you're a Patreon supporter, you can get emails directly to me, but please just send me an email with your phone and email contact. And also, please let us know if you're interested in our February 1st, March 1st, or April 1st, approximately within a couple of days, trip. And that way we can put you down for that, and we can work on getting those meetings done so that you can get some more exposure and make your call from there. So the next thing is that I have to admit that, there have been a few incidents lately, for example, Boeing's inability to get their rocket up to the space station and Tesla having no problem with it. There are data points like that are impressive. There's also the data point of the fact that Tesla's put up all these satellites and will soon be offering broadband. And so those kind of things are impressive that they've accomplished them despite challenges, whatever they may be. And I think it's kind of interesting because they're achieving a lot of milestones. And I thought the most interesting part of the whole research that I did is if you go backwards, the value of the shares have actually kind of doubled in the last, let's say, 2 or 3 years. So the problem when you buy pre-IPO is either you do due diligence yourself or you go through a process because you want to make sure that everything that you do, obviously you want to make sure your money is well spent is the goal here, and our goal is for you to do well regardless. I will say that the biggest problem I see with it is Elon has stated that he won't take the company public until after either the first or the second trip to Mars. And so it's likely that the length of time prior to IPO is easily 3, maybe 5 years out. The one flip side of that is how do you get liquidity if in fact you can't, it's not IPOing in a timely fashion? And the answer is you can use a secondary market for those who've purchased shares to actually get out or get in. It's just that it costs a lot more because you have to pay for attorney fees, et cetera, which includes SEC fees. So there's a number of fees that are involved in terms of getting in and out. So again, just a reminder for those of you who are focused on Tesla, this is not a Tesla show today. I'm making every effort to respond to a whole bunch of inquiries I've had about a conversation that popped up about access to SpaceX shares. And so at this point, because this isn't a traditional show, I'm happy to field questions. Donovan, thank you for the comment about me not owning a Tesla yet. Indeed. Josh, given that Boeing screwed up that flight so badly, you're right, SpaceX could have monopoly, but obviously Jeff Bezos and his group will have something to say about that as well. But it is impressive, some of the things that SpaceX has accomplished. They got a lot of smart people, and they're doing a good job. And my thought process was that, again, on this video, folks had expressed interest, and my goal was really to be able to respond to inquiries I've had in an efficient way. The other note I wanted to make on this that happened with a couple of phone calls in general discussing this idea with folks is that what I've noticed is there are a lot of people that now manage their own investments and don't have advisors with them. So it's often a good idea to have an advisor because you get, better structured thinking and planning for what you're doing. One of the things that I was, that happened was, I spoke with someone, so one of the things that happened is I was speaking with someone. Teslafaninsight on Facebook is our Facebook page, and you can send me a private message there. So it's the name Teslafaninsight, and then just go to Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, drop a note here. I'll have an email for you guys to send notes to. It's just that you get so much junk that it's nice to control it in some way. I was intrigued because what I noticed about half the people were sophisticated investors, or there are a lot of people managing their own money and don't have advisory help. And so I kind of feel like one of the things that I was worried about was people really getting hands-on to understand what's going on and then make your decision on what you want to do. So that's why I've decided to make this video, because I've been delaying discussion of this further because, one, I was hoping people would forget about it and we wouldn't do it. But two, what I was really thinking about is that there's a whole map of people from very small amounts of money that don't know a lot about investing to people that have a lot of money who know tons about it. And because the group is so wide in space, you could end up in conversations or interactions that require you to, by individual, go through the same things repeatedly. But if I do a video and I'm explaining that we've got to do everything with attorneys, with the SEC process being carefully done, and then we sort of move from there, I think I'm in great shape in terms of managing this in a manner that is consistent with all the securities laws of the United States. And it makes sure everybody does well. So I kind of feel like, as I shared, what I'd like to do is we're going to have sort of monthly visits to SpaceX in Southern California starting February 1. And if you'd like to join one of those groups, I highly recommend it, because it will give you an opportunity to meet some folks that work there, get a good sense of, is this something you want to do? And then from there, we can sort of work out the plan from there, and we can have interactions that are a lot more substantial to allow you to make a good call with your funds. I will admit that when I first started this, I was extremely skeptical about the whole thing, particularly because of Elon's plan to go to Mars and the fact that he owns greater than 50% of the stock for the company. So it kind of limits, he has all kinds of flexibility to decide what they will or won't do. So it's one of the due diligence elements. You have to figure out how comfortable you are with that. But then when you look at how well they're doing in terms of growth of value of the stock, the quality of work that they're doing, there's a bunch of variables there that say, hey, this has a huge amount of potential with the credibility of other things he's done, and how desperate the government is to get him to stay aboard and deliver. I just feel like, they have limited competition and they do a lot of really great work. So that's my thought process. So anyway, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. I'm looking for all of your comments, post, and I'll probably post more. I apologize for those of you who expected a Tesla show. This is not that, but I wanted to make sure I responded to all the folks that have expressed interest in an efficient way, and look forward to your responses. And again, if you don't have a Facebook account, send I will send you an email address you can send to. I know it's going to get inundated with spam, but we'll get that out to you so that we can sort of get you in the process in that way. Thanks again for joining us. This is Greg for not Tesla fans. In this case, you will call it SpaceX Insight, and really appreciate your taking time out to join us. And we look forward to our next show that we interact on. Have a great day. Bye for now.